start with, on this tutorial, I'm going to start with Blender versions. So you'll come across, if you're starting out with Blender, you will come across lots of different tutorials. They could be 1-year-old, they could be 2-year-old, they could be 3-year-old. They're all still good, they're all still valid. But what you don't want to be doing is, you don't want to be jumping into a tutorial that they've created in Blender version 2.9 and you're using the current version of Blender 4.1. So I thought, you know what, that's a good place to start and a good place to show everybody. Now down here, if you see my mouse down there, I might have to do, this is my first video, so I might have to do some things. So down in the bottom right of the screen, you'll see the Blender version number that the person is using. And sometimes it's really annoying because they'll stick their little, you know, whatever it's called, their little kind of video screen here with them, you know, recording the video, and you can't see the Blender version. And the reason you want to use the same Blender version is because things change, things have been removed, things have been moved somewhere else, things have changed. So yeah, so it can be frustrating. So if you're following along tutorials, my advice is to start using the same version of Blender that the person doing the tutorial is using. So I'll try and remember to put all the links into my description. So you want to go to the Blender website, like I said, I'll put the link in the description, and here you'll find all the previous versions of Blender. So you don't need to actually install Blender, you know, on your Windows machine. I'm talking about Windows here, I don't know about any other operating system, but you don't need to install the versions. What you can do is you can click on the version you want, let's say 2.9, which I started with, and then you've got the installer here if you want, but then you've also just got the zip file. So you can download that zip file, you open it up, and inside you've got all the files that you need, and then you just extract it to your version folder. So as you can see here, I've got just loads of different versions of Blender, and then inside I've just got a link, or I created a desktop link somewhere on my desktop to the Blender executable file. I can't even say it, but there you go, the file. And there you go, you've got various different versions of Blender. Like I say, you don't need to install them, and then you can just jump in between whatever version the person is using in the tutorial. I recommend this because it can get confusing. So another tip as well, little tip that I had to do recently, because I started Blender a couple of years back during COVID, and then I didn't do anything, I stopped, and I've only recently just picked it back up again. So I downloaded some of my old files, and I didn't know which version of Blender that I'd created them in. So another quick tip as well is I've got a program here called Ultra Edit. I'm sure there'll be other programs that you can use as well. But if you drag your, not that one, if you drag your file into the text editor, at the top here you can see the version number. So obviously here I got 4.0, so I think that's 4.1 personally. Let me see if I can find another file. Let's go to here. See, I got some older files here. Robot, excuse the mess. Drag that in, and yeah, version 3 or 3.2. So yeah, so again, that's because sometimes you might download files from, you know, some of the tutorials. They give you some of the blend files. So again, this is a good tip to know how what version of Blender they created it in. Again, I'll put all these links into the description, but this is basically my kind of, to a certain degree, my kind of journey. This is what I started with, this is what helped me get started with Blender. Obviously, you know, there's Andrew Price, Blender Guru, and his doughnut tutorial is a great place to start. It's, you know, it's beginner, but it's also quite technical as well. So he'll teach you a lot of things there, shortcuts, why things are happening, why Blender's doing what it does do, things like that. You know, he's been using it for a very, very long time now. There's also Grant Abbott, really like Grant, and he'll help you start with some simple kind of modeling, which, to be honest with you, I can still should go back to. Then there's Polygon Runway. Love Polygon Runway. He started to do a bit more animation and things, and yeah, all his work is very pretty, beautiful, and he'll teach you modeling and animation. And then there's Crossmind Studio, which I think one of my very first animations that I did was from Crossmind Studio. Just scroll down to get it quickly. Where is it? So yeah, it's the aeroplane. Yeah, this one. Yeah, it's really good. Again, it's really simple, but it was a really good tutorial in terms of modeling and animation. Then there's Josh Gambrel with Hard Surface. He's good as well. A lot of the times he might use that add-on. I forget what it's called now. It doesn't matter, but he uses an add-on. But there are some tutorials that you can find where he just uses basically vanilla Blender, as they call it. Derek Elliott is cool. I've done a few of his animations, a few of his things, which I really enjoy doing. That one, then the iPhone one. Actually, I put on Facebook that Apple have just hired me to do their new advertising, and people actually believed me. But yeah, this one was quite a good one to do. And then we've got CG Fast Track. I actually paid for this at one point. He's got, I think, a couple of his tutorials are free, the sword one here, but then I actually paid to do some of them, and I managed to create this out of it. But it is very, I find these tutorials are very in-depth, but they're very kind of, require a lot of brain power, especially the Tesla. I don't know if I'll ever model a car again. That was an absolute, that took me a huge amount of time, a lot of frustration, but it was good. But yeah, I recommend, learning the basics first. Just to go back to Derek Elliott, I love his tutorials, but he's got such a soothing voice. I love his voice. I could listen to his voice all day. He's got a really cool, soothing voice, and it's just, yeah, I just wanted to add that in because yeah, he's great. So I don't know what machine you're using. I might do another tutorial on how to kind of maybe help speed up your viewport display as well. Little tips and things like that. But yeah, I've got, like I say, I'll put my machine in the description. It's got a decent graphics card in it. It's got a decent chip. It's old. I've just upgraded to an SSD because, oh man, it was a nightmare. I don't know, my hard drive is about 4 years old now, and it was just maxing out with 100% disk usage, and it was just incredibly frustrating all the time. I switched to SSD, mirrored over my operating system, and man, my computer is just so much faster, and I wish I'd done this years ago. I don't even know why I didn't do it years ago, but yeah, it's been amazing. But yeah, if you're using, I feel sorry for you if you don't have a graphics card, because it can be quite painful to use Blender if you've got a slow PC. So that's possibly one of the first things you want to look at. Like I said, I still consider myself a beginner. I'm going to try and dig out some of the earlier stuff that I did. So, I'll show you some of the earlier stuff, and I'll show you what was some of my recent stuff. But yeah, I still consider myself a beginner. And like I said, these videos are hopefully going to help me learn Blender properly as well. So we'll be learning it together to a certain degree. And yeah, there's no better way to learn something than to have to try and explain it to somebody else. So I'm going to start with the basics, because like I say, I'm not an expert, but yeah, we'll see how we go. So this is my first video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I don't know what you do. I'd love it if you subscribed to the channel, and see what happens. I'll see you later.